Adam Caplan will be here now to talk a little bit more about who benefits from these OTAs. They get underway today, tomorrow, a couple days next week or later on in the week as the Eagles are back on the field for the first time post-Super Bowl. This is really our first chance, Adam, to check these guys out. Let's get a little intel and a little bit of a preview of what we might see. We did have the offseason OTAs in April, but this is now a little bit more. There's a couple phases here. So let's get a little intel and a preview of what the fans can expect these next couple days.
Yeah, Mike. So these are the real OTAs. So what phase one? There's nothing on the field. That's all strength and conditioning. As one coach told me, it's been in the league a long time. It's the trainers get them weight room and so forth. Phase two, Mike, is when you could start doing some stuff on the field with coaches, but at a walkthrough pace, not real strenuous. As this coach told me, it's can they learn and what have they learned? You're basically kind of testing them from a mental standpoint because the tape tells you the college tape tells you athletic they are. In phase three, which they're going to be in now, this is when there's a little bit of competition, not a lot. The real competition obviously starts at training camp, but you can do you can do 11 on 11. There's no contact. 11 on 11, 7 on 7, some 9 on 7, and you can turn up the speed a little bit. And that's phase three is right now. So it's more important now in terms of seeing kind of what they can do. But it's so important, Mike, as we talk about OTAs now, you want to start getting an idea of where the player is at, and if they're learning well, can they translate that onto the field? Because there is classroom work, which where they go over the tape and they go over what they need to know, and then can they apply it to the field? And that's pretty big because eventually, Mike, these guys have to prove themselves. We're talking about rookies and what it's important for. Undrafted rookies.
Yeah.
Drafted rookies, right, this year. And the big one is, Jeff and I talk about this. This is a big deal on our show today. The second-year players showing the growth from one year to the next.
Right. So there's some of the guys that benefit. You mentioned rookies, undrafted, rookie free agents, second-year players. And guys who are on one-year deals, they come in here, they're trying to get some big money here. The Eagles have a lot of guys, though, that kind of fit into these categories, right? Rookies, second-year players, guys on one-year deals, prove-it type of guys. They signed a bunch of those guys. So who are some guys that maybe this is going to be an interesting week for? And you say, look, hey, I always look at these OTAs as, hey, I don't know much about this guy, but I watched him here, and now I want to watch him closer when we get to August or July.
Right. So I'll give you one. I'm going to give you an example of how OTAs can give you a little bit of an idea that this guy's probably going to have a real chance if he builds off what he did in OTAs. I'm going to go back to the 2017 season OTAs, right? So Carson Wentz, this is Wentz's breakout year. They changed his mechanics. Okay, he really looked good. But the big story was this kid, undrafted free agent from South Jersey, out of University of Wisconsin, a very accomplished running back in college. That's Corey Clement. I remember talking to their coaches then, and that was the only name they gave me that because they loathe to say who stood out. It's rare that a player will stand out other than being sharp mentally because you can't really do anything physically. So that they don't want to give you, oh, yeah, this guy blew us away. They don't really do that.
Yeah.
But they want to know where a guy is, okay, we gave this guy a lot of stuff, and he really handled it. Corey Clement, that was the one name I got out of the 17 OTAs. I was like, okay. You can't, reporters don't know what you're looking at because running backs are the one position where you literally can't tell because they can't be touched. But from a mental standpoint and pass protection being angled and lined up correctly, he was ahead of schedule. So I was like, okay, let's just see. I mean, they had a crowded backfield. They had eventually signed LeGarrette Blount. So that he had, Mike, he was a major long shot, but Terry Roseman told his agent, I remember talking to his agent then, how he said, if he earns it, if he does great, he's going to be on the roster. Don't worry about what the media thinks or anyone else thinks. And he made the roster, Mike. And guess what? Zero chance they win the Super Bowl without Corey Clement.
Oh, he was a huge player in particularly that game. I mean, that catch he makes is obviously that sets up the Philly special play. But it's not only the play he makes, it's the things that he did to make that play work. The stiff arm, catch and run after the catch. It was a huge play for them. Second-year player that I'm interested to get your take on, because I think he's interesting, is Jeremiah Trotter Jr. You mentioned these second-year players. How big of a, I guess it's OTAs. We're not making it huge. But how big of a opportunity does he have? I mean, do they look at him as a possible guy who can fill in for Nakobe Dean if he's not ready?
Well, Dean's the question is, when will Dean play football this season? So he's just not really factoring in. It's Trotter. And when will Jod Campbell be ready? So Jod Campbell is going to get mental reps until he gets cleared for contact. So right now, we'll see what happens tomorrow when the reporters are there. They're able to see who's running with the first team. Trotter will get some work with the ones. Does he get the majority of them? I couldn't tell you. But he was so well ahead, we were told last season, mentally. He's a smaller guy, Mike. He's not built like his dad, which is, he's just not. He's exact opposite. He's really small, very small frame. But he could shed and sort. He knows where to go and how to get there. And Mike, he did a really good job. He would have made, I know people say, he only made the team because of his dad. I get the sentiment, Mike. He earned it. He had a good training camp, and he did a good job. What we were told, Mike, he really practiced well during the regular season. So, yeah, we're going to see a lot of him. But the guys that I'm very interested in is, we'll keep on the defensive side of the ball because you brought it up. Jalix Hunt, Mike.
Yep.
Jalix Hunt right now could start. Right now, he's definitely going to work with the ones. Now, are they going to rotate him with Aziz Ojulari? Josh Uche? Uche is on a one-year deal, so is Ojulari. So those guys have a lot to prove. They have a number of players on defense on one-year deals. They signed, Mike, over 10 players on one-year deals this year. A guy that I'm excited to see is Lewis Seen. We reported at the time that the Bills were working him out at linebacker in practice, which is kind of odd. But I know they had injuries, I was told, during the regular season. So we know he's going to be a safety for the Eagles, but how do they use him? Is he going to run on a third team, second team? Mike, so I think that's interesting for me. Also, and this is huge, and it was huge last year, Mike, at OTAs. Last year at this time, it was Isaiah Rodgers. The Eagles had not seen him because he had to get off the suspended list. And Keely Ringo. Now, Ringo, this is how you got to be careful. As I talked about on today's show, how all season is AA baseball, Mike. It means very little in terms of what's going to happen. Training camp and preseason, it's AAA. In the majors is the regular season. Okay, that's so. Keely Ringo had a really good offseason, Mike. Training camp, it was over after 1 week. Isaiah Rodgers moved ahead of it, and he never looked back. So be very careful what reporters put out there. Jeff and I have been covering this league combined over 45 years. Jeff's around the 20-year mark. I'm about 27 and 28. I've learned my lesson from being very careful of what I see. It means very little, but I like to find out who's ahead mentally and who's behind. That bleed matters, Mike. Trust me.
Yeah, well,
coaches are big on that stuff.
You mentioned Ringo. I know he's not a second-year guy, but third year. But he's only played 7 starts. So he doesn't have a lot of playing time. And he's in a battle with a guy who does fit your benefits, a one-year deal guy, Adoree Jackson. So Jackson's out there fighting tooth and nail to prove that he belongs up against a guy who doesn't have a lot. So that one should be very intriguing to watch, even in the early portions here.
Yeah, yes. Obviously, you got to see where Adoree Jackson is physically. Does he still have it? The Eagles think so. They thought his tape was good enough. That's why they signed him. And Moro Jomo, he's going to start. So that's more of a training camp thing. See how he holds up physically. I want to see Ty Robinson. I know the Eagles are super excited about. That was I don't know if he gets the gold star, but I know their scouting staff very high on him. I'm interested to see him. And then offensively, Mike, where's A.J. Dillon at?
Yeah.
Didn't play last year, okay? He got hurt. He got hurt in the preseason. So let's see where he's at, because they barring something now if he doesn't have it like Rashad Penny, now that's where we got to be careful. If he's Rashad Penny, then that's a different story. Whereas Rashad Penny's legs left him, then he had to retire. If A.J. Dillon's all the way back, he's the 2, and there's no debate. But he's got to show that he's got it. We got to see where his timing is, Mike.
Yeah, you and I are on the same page with that, because I'll follow up with this question. Do they want to get more from their second running back this year? In other words, use Barkley less.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, Mike. Let's say it's the fourth quarter, and this is going to happen. They're going to have a nice lead. 17 points with 12 minutes left. Get Barkley out. Get Dillon in. Let him salt the game away. That's what he's here for. You don't need to overwork Barkley. The history of running backs, Mike, 1,800 yards or more, the next year almost always either get hurt or there's a big yardage drop. You don't need to overwork them. Like everyone else, I was shocked that he held up. Done it. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I give their training staff obviously a lot of credit and the player a lot of credit. Now, and by the way, Kevin Patullo, here's another one.
He'll talk tomorrow, by the way. He'll talk tomorrow.
Yeah, he's going to talk, right. So now we'll learn more about him in training camp. Now, we got fooled 2 years ago when Swift was here for the 1 year. Remember, the Eagles' backs caught a ton of balls. Once we got to the regular season, they didn't catch anything. Now, there are reasons for it. Hurts doesn't like to check down, whatever the case may be. And we're going to learn more about him in training camp. But I'm interested to see how the backs are used. Let's see what Will Shipley looks like physically. He needs to put on weight and mass on his frame. I want to see that. The right guard position, Mike, is up for grabs. We'll get a look at that. And the other thing the coaches tell me, Mike, what kind of shape the guys are they in good shape? Because I'll give you a nugget. 3 years ago, I think it's when Jordan Mailata, we reported this at the time. He reported over 400 pounds. He was told to lose 25 or so by the time he got to training camp. He was a rock when he showed up to training camp, Mike. So we're going to be looking at that. What kind of shape? And that's what we saw. I'll give you another one. When Miles Sanders, lower body, it was his best year as an Eagle, man. He was jacked. That's the kind of stuff I think that doesn't matter. What kind of shape do these guys come in?
Right. Well, I know a lot of them were down the shore this weekend. Hopefully they drained out. They were bouncing here and there and everywhere. Nick Sirianni was down here as well.
I saw that. I saw that. Yeah.
I know. It appears that his wife is probably. It seems like she's over the Eagle chants everywhere he goes. Poor guy.
I know, but you know what? I love that about Nick. You know, and you brought this up, Mike, and this I'm glad. You know, when you brought it up, why don't the fans embrace him? I know he's a little bit out there with his attitude. You see him yelling. So what?
Yeah.
They refused. You nailed it, Mike, when you said this. What else do you want this guy to do?
It is bewildering to me. I know I compared him to like Rocky Balboa. I said, this guy's the most improbable Philly sports figure that you can think of. Like, you couldn't handpick a guy to say, this is the most improbable guy. Like, you're going to be the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. You're going to win 70% of your games. You're going to go to 2 Super Bowls and win one of them. People would say, there's no way the day this guy was hired. And here we are 4 years later when the guy gets an extension, talking about a guy who's won a Super Bowl, been to 2, been to the playoffs all 4 years, and yet he's not. You know, I had somebody over the weekend say he's a doofus, he's this, he's that. I said, what more does this guy need to do? It's unbelievable. It's
not a doofus. Well, let me ask you this, Mike. That person who said it, what was the reasoning?
He compared him to Barry Switzer, essentially saying that the roster was so good that anybody could have won with this team.
All right, I'm going to give you a nugget since you brought this up. So 2021 season, Nick, the coach is no longer on the team, told me. I ran into this guy. It's a combine or a golf event. I can't remember, but this is when I ran into him in 22. He goes, I got to tell you, that was one of the best coaching jobs I've ever been around. The job that Nick did his first year. I'm like, why do you say that? He goes, a roster wasn't as great as it would be in 22, but his ability. First of all, he gave up play calling. Okay, he never when they got off to that really bad start and then turned it around. The guy said he never wavered. He said the guy would coach his ass off, and he coaches hard, and they bought in, and the players adore Nick. So. I don't know. It's like I get it with Howie Roseman because he didn't draft well for a while. Now he's great. So the fans now love Howie. They don't want to fire Howie. They love him.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just funny how this town, Mike. I grew up here in this market, born and raised. I know you're from this area. Look, sometimes it's deserved. It's a little overboard wanting someone to get fired, but I get the criticism of Howie. Now, obviously he could run for mayor if he wanted to.
Throwing out the first pitch tonight. Throwing out the first pitch.
He got honored last week locally, but with Nick to move this along here, I think folks, you got to be real here. He brought you Super Bowl along with Howie. They have a really good partnership. You got a great owner. In our lifetime, Mike, I other than the Flyers when I was a little kid when they went back-to-back Stanley Cups, and obviously they haven't been back in 50 years. The Eagles have set this thing up so well with this young team. I'm not used to covering this team when they're really young, Mike. They're like they're one of the 3 youngest teams in the National Football League.
Yeah. Well, guess what? Yeah, you got a lot of young guys on a Super Bowl champion team. It all starts today. Tomorrow, the coordinator will talk. We'll hear from Kevin Petula for the first time. Very intrigued to see what his philosophies will be with this offense. Adam Caplan, Football at 4, everybody, here from the Inside the Birds podcast, which you can listen to on all podcasting platforms. Just search Inside the Birds. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.